Oh, some of you can come in. But, this is understand here. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vinyācarana sampanno sugato lokamidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati ratta deva manusana Buddho Bhagavati Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vinyācarana Sampanno Sugato Lokamidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Ratta deva manusana Buddho Bhagavati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Everyone, very calmly, please come inside and sit on a seat. We have enough seats inside, so all of you can come and sit. Right. Now we kindly invite today's Dhamma teacher, Bhante Sanatha Vihari, to come inside and take his seat. Supati Panno Bhagavatu Savaka Sangho Ujupati Panno Bhagavatu Savaka Sangho Nyaya Pati Panno Bhagavatu Savaka Sangho Swami Jipati Panno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yabidam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atte Purisa Pukelam Ese Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakhineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anutteram Punyakirtam Lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, very nice. Right. Everyone, please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Most Venerable Bhante Sanatha Vihari and dear Dhamma friends, first of all, let me appreciate about your participation on today's Dhamma teaching. It is a very nice thing to see. Among all kinds of sharings, the Buddha said, sharing of Dhamma is the greatest. Because it changes not only this life, the Dhamma changes many other lives to come too. So, please be happy that you got the opportunity and that you could come and participate into this Dhamma teaching, Dhamma ceremony. So, without taking much time, I'm going to introduce Dhamma teacher and start today's let me invite Bhante to start Dhamma teaching. So Bhante Sanatha Vihari, Bhante is from Los Angeles, and North Hollywood Temple of Los Angeles. And Bhante is he is still young, but he is a Bhante who is doing a great service for the Buddha's order. So Bhante teaches not only in English, he is so fluent in Spanish too. So he goes to Spanish-speaking South American countries, and so he teaches in those countries too. So sometimes he goes to Europe, and he has visited Sri Lanka too. So and Bhante is nowadays. So in American Buddhist dispensation, there are lack of monks who can deliver the audience the Dhamma in an applicable way to the modern world. So but Bhante Sanatha Vihari is not such kind of monk. He's very fluent in that faculty, and he gives the Dhamma to the American audience in a very efficient way. So now we are going to invite Bhante Sanatha Vihari to do the Dhamma lecture. So nowadays, now all the positive energy that we are going to accumulate, especially we are going to think of my master. You can see my master is not here because he is sick during these days. So we share all this positive energy with him, and let's together wish him good health and the comfort for him. Right. With those wishes, we kindly invite on behalf of my master, on behalf of the Sangha of our temple, to conduct today's Dhamma teaching. It's okay. Everyone, please say it 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Yes.
Okay. So to observe 3 refuge and 5 precepts, please say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa 3 times.
Namo Tassa Namo Tassa
Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyam pi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyam pi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyam pi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyam pi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyam pi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyam pi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Panatipata Viremani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Adinadana Viremani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Kame sumichachara veremani sikkapadam samadhiyami. Musavada veremani sikkapadam samadhiyami. Suramere mache pamatatana veremani sikkapadam samadhiyami. Sadhu. First and foremost, I'm paying my respects to the Chief Bhante here. My condolences for him just being through what he just went through. I think he was very sick. And also my respects to all the other Bhantes here. Also, I'd like to show my gratitude and appreciation to all the Upasaka, Upasikas, and friends in Dhamma, because without you, these kind of events are not possible, right? Monks cannot survive without the lay people providing the requisites. We need food, we need water, we need clothing, this place, you know? So without you, none of this is possible. And, you know, as a American monk, I couldn't even become a monk, you know, without you. So without Sri Lankan people, Vietnamese people, other Buddhist Asian people coming to the United States, then it would be very difficult for me to be in this position. So thanks to you, I'm a product of all your donations and all of your hard work, you know? So I'm kind of like your son in a way. You gave me this opportunity. So before I begin my Dhamma talk, you know, the last time I was here was in 2019, before the pandemic. That was a long time ago, right? I remember I came to give another Dhamma talk at another temple here in San Jose. And then Bhante's here found out that I was here, and they're like, oh, can you come tomorrow and give a talk? We're having a SEAL program. I wasn't ready. I just came and I just said whatever I could, you know? I don't know how that landed with all of you. I don't know if you like that Dhamma talk, or maybe you don't even remember, but that was back in 2019. So I'm so happy to be back here again, you know, to be here with you all. And everyone has the opportunity to listen to Dhamma now. We feel a little bit safer, right? At least from COVID. So happy. I just wanted to share that I'm so happy to be back here after almost 3 years. Yeah. So now before I begin my Dhamma talk, I'd like to pay respect to Buddha. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. So during the time of the Buddha, there were two bhikkhus, two Buddhist monks. One Bhante said, the Buddha taught me 3 types of Vedana, right? Sukha, dukkha, adukkha sukha. So pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings. The other monk said, no. The Buddha taught 2 types of Vedana. Sukha and dukkha. No, 3 types. No, 2 types, 3 types. They start arguing so hard. They said, finally, you know what? Let's go ask the Buddha himself. See who's right. This other guy's wrong. I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to feel so good when I prove this other monk wrong, that I'm right. So they go to the Buddha and they say, Bhante, I told this monk that you taught 3 types of Vedanas. Is that correct? That is correct, Bhikkhu. Yes. He looks at the other guy. You know? But Bhante, isn't it true that you taught me 2 types of Vedana? That is correct, Bhikkhu. You see? Then they both look at each other. Bhante, we're confused. Is there 3 types of Vedana? Is there 2 types of Vedana, right? Is there just dukkha and sukha? Was there dukkha sukha and a dukkha masuka? That last one sounds funny, huh? A dukkha masuka. Kind of like a kuna matata or something from the Lion King, right? So the Buddha goes, you know what? I've taught 1 type of Vedana, 2 types, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18, 36, 108 infinite Vedanas. Like, oh, okay, Bhante, very good. But what are all these Vedanas? That's what I'm going to try to explain to you today. All these Vedanas. I'm going to make it very short. You're right, because it's a long, 108. I'll make it brief. We're going to get the Cliff Notes version or the Vedana for Dummies version. Okay. So then in another occasion, Venerable Ananda went to the Buddha and he said, Bhante, you said that all Vedanas are dukkha. What do you mean that all Vedanas are dukkha? What's the reason that you say this? Can you give me an explanation of why all Vedanas, all feelings, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, are dukkha? The Buddha said, it is because they all depend on conditions, right? They're all sankharas, they're conditioned. It is it's because of this that I say all Vedanas are dukkha. What does this mean? That they're all conditioned? Well, we have to understand now. The highest teaching of the Buddha, or one of the highest ways of explaining it, is paticca samuppada. Don't worry, I'm not going to go into great depths, but we need to kind of do like a little review over this. And then I'll come back to it later, make sense, okay? So how do feelings arise? How do feelings arise? What happens? Pay attention right now. What's going on in your body? Some of you are already uncomfortable. Some of you are already feeling unpleasant feeling, right? You're not used to sitting with your legs crossed on the ground like this, right? Maybe before, when you grew up in Sri Lanka, you were used to it. Now you came here, now all you do is sit in chairs. So now it's very difficult for you to sit like this. That's an unpleasant feeling. How does this unpleasant feeling arise? Due to conditions. One of the conditions is you're sitting in a posture that you're not used to, right? Another condition for the pain is that you have a body. Without a body, there's no unpleasant feeling, right? Another condition is that you're here, right? Being here, sitting on the ground with the body, then there's dukkha. But there's also pleasant feelings, right? Like going to Starbucks, getting a Frappuccino. That's a very pleasant feeling when you taste it, all that sugar, right? It's a pleasant feeling. K-pop, yeah? Or you can go get boba, or we can go get other things, right? Frozen yogurt, whatever you like. But that pleasant feeling also depends on conditions, right? It depends that there's a Starbucks, that it's open, that you have money, that you can get there. So that pleasant feeling is dukkha because you can't always get that pleasant feeling. If it's closed, you suffer, right? I want Starbucks, I want the Frappuccino. It's not open. Oh, dukkha, right? You tell your parents, oh, I want Frappuccino. It's open, it's there. Your parents go, I don't have any money. Oh, that's dukkha, right? Or maybe everything's there, but you're sick, and your parents go, no, you're sick, you can't have it. More dukkha on top of being sick, right? Now double the dukkha. Double the suffering, right? So it is because of this that the Buddha said that all feelings, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, are dukkha because they all depend on conditions. This is the one type of Vedana, of feeling, that the Buddha explained. Now there's 2 types of Vedanas that the Buddha explained. Bodily and mental. And there's a very nice story, similarly in the suttas. The Buddha says, imagine that there was a man who wants to live and doesn't want to die, that doesn't like pain and wants to be happy. Imagine this type of person. Maybe most of you, right? I don't think anyone here wants to die. No? None of you like pain? I don't think so, right? All of you want to be happy? Okay, so it's all of you, okay? Imagine a person just like that were to be shot with an arrow, right? And they would get to hit by an arrow, and the tip would hurt them. And they would feel this pain, and they would see this arrow. Oh, it hurts so much, it hurts so much. I want to get rid of this pain. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of this pain by making myself hurt somewhere else. That way I won't pay attention to this one. So he grabs another arrow and he stabs himself. So now he doesn't feel this one, he feels this one, right? And he has two pains. The Buddha says that is a very foolish person.
Yes.
But that person is all of you, the Buddha says. It's okay, it's okay. I need some encouragement. So the Buddha says that's all of us. Because when we experience a bodily pain, what happens next? Then we experience a mental pain. So let's say you're walking around and you stub your toe. It's happened to me so many times, right? You stub your toe, ow, you feel the physical pain. But then comes the mental pain. Either sadness, why me, Buddha, why this again, right? Or the anger, maybe you scream a bad word. Sometimes you hear adults, right? They hurt themselves and they scream a bad word and they get angry. Oh, that stupid door, that bad door, I don't like it. We should need to get a new door. You tell your husband, get a new door, I told you already. What do you mean? That door doesn't work, it keeps stubbing my toe. Right? That's the second pain. So you already felt one pain, the physical one. Now you get another arrow and you stab yourself in the head with anger and with sadness. That's all of us. Very foolish. So there's these two types of Vedanas, these two types of feelings, bodily feelings and mental feelings. Then the Buddha says, there's three types of feelings, Vedanas. This is very easy. Pleasant, because I already told you. Unpleasant and neutral. Sukha, dukkha, adukkha sukha. Right? These three. And these three are very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. You know why? Because they lead to these things called anusayas. Anusayas are underlying tendencies or biases that we have inside of us that we've been carrying for so many lives, right? That at the sight of anything, they explode up, they come up. And the Buddha said that sukha is the cause for raga. Raga means passion, raga nusaya. So for all of us, when we experience a pleasant feeling, that passion comes up, right? Like how we're talking about something tasty, like the Starbucks drink, right? When you taste it, you're not like, oh, that's good, and you put it down. I want more. You drink. Maybe you drink the whole thing. Maybe you want another one. Or maybe you're thinking about coming back tomorrow or getting a Starbucks card so you can just get whenever you like, right? And then you wake up in the morning thinking about Starbucks. In the day, thinking about Starbucks. Before you go to bed, you're thinking about Starbucks. That thought, that passion all the time, right? Or as soon as you see maybe you're fine. And someone comes into work or to school, you see someone on the street with their cup of Starbucks, then all of a sudden, you feel the craving. I want it, I need it. You were gonna go do something else, but you stop doing that, you turn your car around, and you go get something to drink. Right? That is raga. So this pleasant feeling, this sukha leads to passion, to wanting. Then there's another anusaya for dukkha, patiga. Patiga means aversion, pushing away, not liking it. Okay? So when you experience something, maybe, I don't know, you come across some smell, right? And you come across the smell, you smell it, and the moment that you smell it, I hate it, I don't want it, I push it away. But sometimes we got to do stinky things. Ask your parents, they have to change your diapers, right? They have to get that unpleasant smell from having to change your diapers, but they still have to do it, right? So when we experience an unpleasant feeling, there comes this aversion, this hate that we have. Maybe there's someone you don't like at school. And as soon as you see them, you don't like them, that aversion comes up, that dukkha, oh, I don't like this person, it's painful. But at the same time, the aversion, the anger comes up. I hope I never see this person again. I hope this person doesn't talk to me, right? Maybe you might wish worse things. I hope he gets kicked out of school, right? I hope something bad happens to him. So that painful feeling brings up anger or aversion, to push it, to hate it, to get rid of it. And then there's another one, neutral feeling, the adukkha sukha. That neutral feeling, when you just see something and there's nothing really there, maybe you see a white wall or something that's boring that doesn't interest you, like when you're in school, you're just like whatever, not paying attention to the teacher, you're just kind of bored. That neutral feeling brings up a bias, which is called avijja. Avijja means ignorance, not knowing. But ignorance to what? That neutral feeling, we think that's me. We call that in Western philosophy, they call it subjectivity. That neutral feeling, oh, that's me. You have a feeling that you exist, that I'm existing. That's the neutral feeling. So when you're not feeling anything and you're just sitting there, you're feeling like, oh, I'm here. That feeling that you're here. So there's a feeling of, some people would say being alive, the feeling of existence. And from that feeling of being alive and existence comes the feeling to want things and hate things. So from sukha, we have raga, which means passion, wanting more. From dukkha, we have patiga, which means I hate it, aversion, get it away. And from neutral feeling, which is just a boring feeling when you're just sitting there, maybe waiting for the doctor in the office and you're just there and your friends don't give you your phone, and you're just sitting there all bored. That's avijja, ignorance, because in that moment you're feeling, I'm here. This is me, I'm a person. I feel that I'm alive, right? These are the three types of Vedanas. Not only that, but the Buddha gets more specific. He says, pleasant Vedanas. Sukha Vedana is dukkha. Why is it dukkha? Because I told you earlier, because the pleasant Vedanas they're insatisfactory. Right? Just because you have one tasty thing, or you go see one good movie, or play one good video game, or I don't know, you have a nice jacuzzi bath, it's not going to give you permanent happiness. Right? Only in that moment you feel good. But no pleasant feeling can give you permanent happiness. That's why the Buddha says that there's a difference between happiness and pleasant things. Most people think that the things that come in contact with your body, that's happiness. Right? Going to a show, eating, drinking, sleeping, watching movies, playing video games, reading books, dancing, whatever, they think, oh, that's happiness. But that's just a pleasurable feeling that comes from it. And that pleasurable feeling can't last forever. So as I said earlier, if it doesn't last forever, and that's your happiness, and you can't have it, what is that going to make you? Unhappy when you can't have it. And you can't have it most of the time. We can't be drinking boba all the time, 24/7. Yeah, right? We can't have the new adults Happy Meal that they're giving around, right? The new one, I think they're sold out now everywhere. You can't have that all the time. You can't be, playing Minecraft all the time. You can't be playing Battlefield, Call of Duty, all these games all the time. And if that's your happiness, when you don't have it, you're going to feel pain. So pleasant feelings, the Buddha said, is dukkha because they're unsatisfactory. Right? And then the Buddha said that unpleasant feelings are, he said, this is very, very interesting way that he says it. He says they're like the tip of an arrow. Why are unpleasant feelings like the tip of an arrow? Because they trigger you to be angry. They trigger you to hate things and push away. And the Buddha said to be free from this, we need to practice patience. So to be free from this unpleasant feeling, we need to practice khanti. Khanti means patience. So when an unpleasant feeling comes up, instead of reacting and hating it and pushing it away or moving around in your seat, you just sit there. Okay, I'm not comfortable. My leg's falling asleep. My leg hurts. My back hurts. But I'm going to patiently endure. I'm going to be very, very patient. So these are the three types of feelings. I can go very deep into these three, but we want to move it along, right? Because we don't want to go to all 108 one by one. So now we're going to go to 4. The Buddha said there's 4 types of Vedana. Sensual Vedana. Sensual means what we already talked about, right? Tasting, touching, all these things. That means sensual through your senses, right? That you want more and crave. That's one type of Vedana. Another one is form. Form or image. This means, for people who know already something about Buddhism, this means jhana, the pleasure from jhana. Then there's formless. This means what? Arupa jhana, the ayatanas. And then there's the Vedana from freedom. That means the Vedana that arahants experience. Because arahants and the Buddha did experience Vedana. They still have this feeling. There's many stories in the suttas where the arahants, they have stomach aches or they have diarrhea, right? And they say, oh, my stomach hurts a lot. But you know what doesn't happen? They don't get sad and they don't get angry. But they still have the bodily feeling. Even the Buddha, many times, if you read the suttas, what does he tell the other monks when he doesn't want to talk anymore? He says, oh, my back is hurting. I'm tired, I'm gonna lay sideways. That's why we have so many pictures of the Buddha like this. It's not only Mahaparinibbana, but many times in the suttas, the Buddha lay sideways. Why? Because he had back pain. That was the unpleasant, the dukkha vedana, but bodily only. And he was free. So even when you're free, even when you reach Nibbana, the body still hurts. Because it has a nervous system, of course it's gonna hurt. But there's no mental suffering. That's called domanassa. There's a very cool story behind why the Buddha's back hurts. And I think the kids are gonna like this. So it's a Jataka story. So the Bodhisattva, the person who's trying to become a Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, in a previous life, many lives ago, I don't know how many, but many lives ago, guess what he was? Guess what his job was? He was a wrestler. And he used to wrestle all the time.
Quite random.
Yeah. He did a lot of random things. He did it all. He was like Barbie. You know how Barbie does everything? There's like a Barbie for everything. That's how the Buddha was too. He did everything. So the Bodhisattva was a wrestler. And all wrestlers have a finishing move, right? You know what the Buddha's finishing move was? Or the Bodhisattva's finishing move was?
Breaking someone's back.
Breaking people's back. He used to pick them up and break their back. And then that's why in future lives he had back pain all the time, He was like The Rock or John Cena or something like that. Yeah, so that's why in his last life he had to experience the karma from the back pain, right? But he had no mental pain. No anger, right? No lobha, no dosa, no raga, no patiga, none of these bad things. They were all gone. Only the physical feeling. What does that tell us? That just because we have physical pain doesn't mean we have to have mental pain. We can be free from the mental pain, although we're experiencing very, very serious pain. Okay? So again, the four types are, first one sensual from the senses, second one form from jhana, we'll get into that later. The third one formless from the arupa jhanas, and the last one from freedom. The arahants still experience the feelings, but only bodily, okay? And then we have 5 types of feelings. 5 types of feelings are bodily, pleasant, and unpleasant. Mental, pleasant, and unpleasant. And then the Buddha says upekkha, but here upekkha means adukkha sukha, neutral. Okay? So these are the 5 types of feelings. So things are just going to start multiplying now, okay? And then I'll get into some more stories. And then the Buddha says there's 6 types of feelings. Feelings that arise due to eye contact, seeing. Feelings that arise due to hearing. Feelings that arise due to smelling. Feelings that arise due to tasting. Feelings that arise due to touching. And feelings that arise due to touch. You've noticed this, right? When you see something, you have a certain feeling about it. When you hear something, you have a certain feeling about it. When you smell something, again, taste something, feel something in your body. And when you think about things too, right? A certain memory comes up, or you imagine something, or even dreams, and you have a feeling about it. Sometimes we wake up very angry, right? Or sometimes we wake up very happy from a dream. So even in our thoughts, it triggers a feeling, right? So these are the 6 types of feelings. And now the Buddha gets into more detail. He says now there's 18 types of feelings. So what do? We get this 6 senses and we multiply by 3, right? So from the eye, we have pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. From the ear, we have pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. From the nose, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. From the mouth, from the body, and from the mind. You guys are gonna remember this, right? That's good. All right. So then these are the 18 types of feelings, right? The 18 different types of Vedanas. Okay. Now it gets even more elaborate. Okay.
There's more.
Actually, you guys didn't correct my math, did you? Who noticed it? I skipped one. So it was the 6 types of contacts from that seeing, and then from then it came from the 18. Oh no, now it's 18 times 2. So guess this. Now there's worldly and unworldly. Worldly and unworldly. What does worldly mean? Worldly means from the senses. How we were talking earlier, bodily, right? So when you taste something, hear something, smell something, feel something, this is the worldly. Like everyone today, every pleasant, unpleasant feeling that you felt almost for your entire life right now has been worldly. Unworldly here means the jhana. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. And here's an interesting thing, right? If you know the story of the Bodhisattva, he lived first in what? A lot of luxury, a lot of pleasure, right? And then he went in to practice meditation, and he practiced self-mortification, torturing the body, asceticism, right? And then he gave that up. But when he gave that up, something came to his mind. Maybe some of you remember the story. He remembered, when I was a little boy under the rose apple tree during the plowing festival, everyone was paying attention to the festival and the race, because even his father was racing, King Suddhodana. He was racing with the plow. And, the bulls are pushing it, and you get the plow, and you open up the earth. And even the nannies who were supposed to be taking care of Prince Siddhartha left. So he was by himself. And he started meditating. And when he was under the rose apple tree, he fell into jhana. Right? And when he fell into jhana, he felt this very pleasant feeling. But then someone turned around, saw the little baby Buddha floating in the air, and they freaked out, and they all went and they brought him back down. They said, we can't leave him by himself, because if Knight's going to practice meditation and he's going to become a Buddha, and the dad didn't want him to become a Buddha. He wanted him to become king, right? An emperor of the world, not only a regular king, but to rule the entire world, right? So after the Buddha, the Bodhisattva lived a life of pleasure and then pain, he thought to himself, you know what? When I was a little boy, I went into jhana. And in that jhana, there was a lot of sukha. But that sukha is a special sukha, because it doesn't depend on seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, and touching. That sukha is not based on me eating and on me smelling things, on me hearing things, on me seeing things. That is a wholesome sukha, blameless sukha. That is the unworldly sukha. So sometimes we think that all pleasure is bad, right? Even when we meditate, we're thinking, there's supposed to be no feelings, no nothing. But the Buddha said, no, you can enjoy pleasant feelings, even bodily feelings, but they have to be unworldly, right? Not based on the senses, but based on jhana. Because on jhana, we have sukha, right? It says right there in the jhanas, you experience sukha. And you also experience piti. Piti means happiness. These two, sukha and piti from the jhanas, first to fourth jhana, which are very deep meditations, are blameless. So then when we get the eye, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, the ear, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, the tongue, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, to this we combine it with worldly and unworldly, right? So then now we have 36 types of feelings. Then we get these 36 and divide and multiply them by 3. How do we do that? Feelings from the past, feelings right now, and feelings in the future, right? So you have the eye, pleasant feeling from the past, present, future, right? From the ear, pleasant feeling, neutral, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, past, present, future, and through all of them, right? And then finally, we get to the biggest number, which is 108, and that's what I just explained. So let me just go through the review, because I'm not good with numbers. Number 1 is that all Vedanas are dukkha. Number 2 is they're bodily and mental. Number 3 types of Vedanas are sukha, dukkha, and adukkha sukha. 4 are sensual, form, formless, and freedom. Sensual means through the senses. Form means through jhana. Formless means arupa jhana, and freedom means like the arahants. 5 types of Vedana are bodily, pleasant, unpleasant, mental, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. 6 types of Vedana are Vedana from the eye, from the ears, from the nose, and from all the other body parts. 18 are the pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral from the eye, from the ear, from the nose, and from the mouth. Then 18 times 2, which is the worldly, unworldly, makes 36. Then we get 108 when we get this 36 and multiply it by 3, which is past, present, and future. Right? But not only that, here's something very interesting. The Buddha said, understanding this, okay? If you understand this, you have samadhi. You know what samadhi is? Right view is the first step in the Noble Eightfold Path. Usually when the Buddha talks about samadhi, usually when we see it in the suttas, we see samadhi as Four Noble Truths, right? There is dukkha, right? There's the cause of dukkha, cessation of dukkha, and the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. There's a similar thing with Vedana. There's Vedana, or all the Vedanas. There is a cause for Vedana. There is the cessation of Vedana, and there is the path leading to the cessation of Vedana. What is Vedana? Vedana is all these 108 or infinite that the Buddha said, right? But mostly we can think about Vedana like this: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, whether bodily or mental, right? Whether worldly or unworldly, and depending on all the 6 senses, and whether past, present, or future. This is it. What is it? So that knowing this, what do you think is the condition? What is the condition for this Vedana to arise? How does Vedana arise? What is the condition? We said first this, and then there's Vedana. What do we call this when we talk about Paticca Samuppada? Phassa. With phassa as condition, there is Vedana. Phassa, Pachaya, Vedana. Right? With the eye contact, then there's the eye feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So the condition for the arising of Vedana is contact. And then what is the cessation of it? You might think, oh, if we get rid of contact, then that's the cessation of it, right? But then that would mean that we all walk around blind, deaf, without tasting anything, or any of that. No. Actually, what's interesting is that the cessation from Vedana is the cessation of tanha. If we free ourselves from paticca, from raga, and from avijja, these 3 tanhas, right? Kama tanha, vibhava tanha, and vibhava tanha. Then we can be free from Vedana, because Vedana is not the problem, right? Because even the Arahants have Vedana. Remember I told you? They experience the pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings. The problem is what? Their craving or desire for those feelings. That's the problem. Craving is what? Tanha. Desire is what? Tanha. Right? So then the way leading to the end of freedom from Vedana is the Noble Eightfold Path. Or here specifically, meaning understanding Paticca Samuppada. Right? So now I have to explain to you this. First, we have avijja. Avijja, we already talked about, right? Ignorance. Ignorance here means we thinking that there's a self. Atta, right? Or Atman in Sanskrit. That's the avijja. Or we can even call it michaditi also, wrong view. The view of self, of permanence, of essence, of things really being there. Then, avijja pachaya sankara. Sankara, constructions. Out of this ignorance, there's constructing. Things come together, things are conditioned. Then, sankara, pachaya vijnana. From constructions comes consciousness, right? Being conscious of things. Vijnana pachaya namarupa. Namarupa is name and form, image and name. I like image better, rupa. Rupa means image and nama means name. So like you see something and then there's an idea that's given to it, right? So you have some sort of image. Image doesn't only mean eyes, it means a sound and then you give it a name to it. Or a taste and then you give a name to it. A smell and you give a name to it. A touch and then you give a name to it. Then nama rupa pachaya salayatana. From nama rupa comes the 6 senses that we already talked about, right? Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. Salayatana pachaya phassa cognition, right? Like we talked about, eye contact, ear contact. That means when you're aware of these things, okay? Nose contact, face contact, body contact, and mind contact. Then from that, from Basa Pachaya Vedana, feeling. From the contact with thoughts or with things in the environment comes a feeling. Vedana Pachaya Tanha. From these pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral experiences comes craving. To want them, to push them away, or for self. Tanha Pachaya Upadana. Upadana means attachment, clinging. This is me, this is who I am, this is myself. This craving. I am the anger, I am the sadness. I am the lust. I am the hate. I am the jealousy, I am the resentment. I am all these things. That's the Upadana. Upadana Pachaya Bhava. Existence, being. Thinking that you're alive because now you identify with something. Mostly the body. Right? You attach with this body, then you're thinking, oh, now I'm alive because there's this body here. I am the body, Sakaya Diti, which is wrong. That's Micha Diti. Thinking that you're the body. Bhava Pachaya Jati. Jati means birth. From existing comes birth. Most of the time we think first we're born and then we exist, right? But actually first we exist, then we're born. That explains rebirth, right? Because even though we die and we live, we die and we live, there's still some existing or feeling of being that's going on. Then from Jati Pachaya Jara Maranam. That means aging, sickness, and death come from birth. But here's the trick. You know, when we learn about Paticcasamuppada, I don't know how many of you have learned what is the step that we intervene in, right? Where in Paticcasamuppada can we stop this process? You know, where in here can we get in and stop it from going? Because it's this process that keeps us suffering and going from one life to another. And that's the reason why I wanted to teach you this importance on Vedana. It's just not to explain to you Vedana, but it's to explain to you why the Buddha said that Vedana is Samaditi, right view. Right? Vedana actually is where we stop this process of Paticcasamuppada. It is only through Vedana that we can stop dukkha, the real dukkha, the dukkha of samsara. The Buddha said that when a feeling comes up, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, you don't give into it. You don't crave, you don't desire it. If you stop it right here from Vedana and you don't let it go to Tanha, then no problem. Because without Tanha, there's no Upadana. Without no Upadana, there's no Bhava. Without Bhava, there's no Jati. If there's no Jati, no aging, no sickness, no death. Nobody here wants aging. Well, maybe them, because they want to be 21 and 18 and they want to move out. But everyone else, no one else wants aging. Sickness, also no one wants sickness except for them on school day. They like sickness on school days. And death, nobody here wants death because I already asked everyone, right? So if you want to be free from sickness, old age, and death, if you want to be free from dukkha, when a pleasant feeling arises, you don't chase it. When an unpleasant feeling arises, you don't chase it. When a neutral feeling arises, you don't identify with it. You don't say, this is me, this is mine, this is myself. I am the feeling. You don't try to own the feeling, even when it's nothing that you're hearing. So many times we hear about the Four Noble Truths, we hear about Paticcasamuppada, we even hear about the Panchakanda, because Vedana is there too, right? Panchakanda. We hear about all these things, the six senses, bodily, worldly, and worldly, all these things. We hear the whole Dhamma. But then we're like, what do I do with all of this? When I'm meditating, what am I trying to do when I'm meditating? Oh yeah, I'm calming the mind, all these things. Why are you calming the mind though? Because we're trying to break the chain. We're trying to break these 12 steps by not giving in to sukha, dukkha, and dukkha sukha. But it's so hard. How many of you have already given in to dukkha right now in the body, bodily dukkha? Yeah, honest people in the back raising their hands, right? It's so hard to break this chain. When you see something nice, right? Also so hard to say no, especially when your fingers on the mouse for Amazon. So hard, right? To say no. Get it next day shipping too. You're not even gonna wait for next Tuesday. So hard, right? Even when you see a beautiful person, right? You look once, you don't stop looking, you look again, right? You just hope no one else sees you. It's hard, right? You might be married, you might be in love. You love your partner. There's no doubt that you love them. But even then, you see a beautiful person, you still look. It's so hard to break this chain. That's why we sit down in a calm place with little distraction, with people who are also trying to work towards the same goal as you. The best environment, like in Satipatthana, the Buddha says, right? The monk leaves the village, goes find a nice place, he sits under a tree, crosses his leg, put his back straight. And he doesn't worry about what's going on in other places. And he places his attention in the front. And then he watches the breath. So this is the way, this is what we're supposed to do when we're meditating. And when we go out in the world, we're supposed to be watching all the time sati. What's the point of sati? What's the whole point of mindfulness? And to be aware. To be aware when sukha arises, sukha vedana, and not get pulled into it. To be aware when dukkha vedana arises and not be pulled into it. To be aware when neutral feeling, a dukkha sukha arises and not be pulled into it. That's the whole point of being mindful. To become aware of this unconscious process. Because paticca samuppada started from unconsciousness, avijja, ignorance. How do we overcome ignorance? By becoming aware, by becoming conscious. That's sati. Conscious of what? Conscious of feelings. That's why there's Vedana-nupassana, right? In the Satipatthana Sutta, Vedana-nupassana. And that's why in so many meditation traditions, like in the Goenka tradition, they focus on feelings. If you ever been to the Vipassana Goenka, they focus on the feelings, on the Vedanas, because it is very important. It's not the only way to do it. It's not the only samadhi, because the Buddha, and Sariputta, in the Majjhima Nikaya, he explains many ways to understand samadhi. But one way is through Vedana. One way to gain freedom is through Vedana. And I want to share this with you because it's so important for meditation. What are we doing when we're meditating? We're supposed to be aware and not give in. To practice patience. The Buddha said, Kanti paraman tapo titika nibbanan. I forgot the next part. Kanti, patience. Tapo means forbearance or tolerance. This is the highest practice. The highest practice in Buddhism is to be patient and endure, patiently endure. To be patient and tolerant. To be equanimous, upekkha. There's different levels of upekkha too. I don't want you to confuse it with worldly upekkha, and there's unworldly upekkha, but that's a talk for another day. It's the unworldly upekkha, right? Beyond jhana, that upekkha of the arahants. So, I would like to invite you, not only today, but for the, a couple of days, try to become aware. But when you feel that pleasant feeling, become aware of it and be like, no, I'm not going to do it. The unpleasant feeling, be aware, I'm not going to do it. And when you're bored, try not to give in to like, oh, let me find something entertaining or do something else or move around, right? Because I don't want to give you to try to figure out the self. That's a little bit more difficult, but a little more easier practice to deal with the dukkha, sukha, the neutral, is that when you find yourself that you're bored, don't go looking for something to do, right? Some people look for pleasure to do, something nice, but other people look for drama to do when they're bored, right? Especially like brothers and sisters, they go annoy the other person. I have nothing to do, I'm gonna go annoy them, right? Or sometimes even husband and wife too, Oh, they're having too much of a good time, I'm gonna say something now, and give them a hard time today, right? Because you're bored. So when you feel that neutral feeling like nothing's going on, don't try to entertain yourself. Sit there, whether pain, pleasure, or boredness. Try to do it. It's a little bit difficult for the children, but however much you can, even if it's just a little, right? Instead of having 2 slices of pizza, you have 1. Yeah, I know it's sad. I love pizza too. You can just get a very big slice.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
Right? So the whole purpose of me teaching you this is for you to apply it. As Bhante said, I like to give practical. It was all a big theory, because I want to tell a story, I know some people like to hear Pali. Everyone's in different levels. The kids, I have to make it funny for them. For the adults who have a long time studying Dhamma, I need to be very technical and 108 Vedanas, right? And all of this kind of stuff. But actually, the most important part is what are you going to do with this knowledge? Anytime you come to the temple and you learn Dhamma, it's not about memorizing. It's not about who memorizes the most Dhamma. It's about applying it. Can you do it? Can you avoid doing bad? Can you do good? And can you purify the mind? Right? Teaching of all the Buddhas. So also with Vedana, don't give in to the pleasant. Don't give in to the unpleasant. And don't try to escape from being bored. Be patient. Talking about the Lion King, be like Rafiki, right? You remember Rafiki, the baboon? He's all peaceful. Or Master Shifu from Kung Fu Panda, or better, his teacher, the turtle. What was his name? You remember the name? Yeah, like him. Be like them. Be like those guys. All peaceful and calm and serene, no matter what happens, okay? So I always like to leave space for questions and answers. That's my favorite part, actually, about giving Dhamma talks. So although I still have a few minutes, I think 10 minutes, I want to give time for questions and answers. That's the favorite. Because how do I know that you were paying attention? Maybe you were daydreaming, right? It's Saturday night, I'm going to go home. I'm going to watch Netflix. They get that new series. I can watch the new episode on Netflix, right? Or maybe you're thinking, Bhante was right about Starbucks. That sounds like a good idea. I'm going to get out of here and go to Starbucks, right? So the only way that I know that you are listening, paying attention, is that you ask me questions or you make a comment, right? Or something like that. So I like to interact. That's the way and it makes me feel good too, you know? All people were actually listening to me. I wasn't just up here talking to myself, right? So now please, if you have any questions. And the trick is, yes, go ahead.
Can you give an example to distinguish worldly and unworldly, so we can understand and practical?
Yeah. So for worldly is everything that you know. That's the world. Unworldly means once you go into jhana, sama samadhi, deep meditation. Anything besides that is worldly, with an exception. The other exception is the state of awakening, if you're an arahant. But that's neither worldly or unworldly. The Buddha calls that the unworldly of unworldly, something like that, beyond the unworldly. So there's those feelings too, but those are only for arahants, you know? So if you become an arahant, you'll know those. But until we become arahants, there's only two. Worldly, which means everything that we know. And unworldly means from jhana, specifically first jhana to fourth jhana. That means unworldly. So if you want to know what that is, then you need to practice meditation. You can find out for yourself. That'll be very nice. Anyone else? Kids, I was expecting for you. No questions from the kids? No questions?
I have.
Yes.
How much time we should spend every day for meditation, or it has to be like every day, or it has to be like a weekly, or like, you know, time for meditation?
Mm-hmm.
How much it should be?
How much time should you spend eating healthy or doing exercise
Every day.
or, you know, taking care of your family or taking a shower? Should you take a shower every day? Should you brush your teeth every day most of the time? Yeah. So yeah, meditation is like that. Think about meditation as mental hygiene, right? So maybe you can go one day without taking a shower. People won't notice. If it's cold, people won't know, you know? But if it's the middle of summer, you know, or sometimes you gotta take 2 showers in one day, like in Sri Lanka, you know, when it's like super hot those days and you're all sticky, you gotta take 2 showers, right? So if you're very busy, you need to meditate more. And if you're not very busy, then you meditate less, right? That's my advice. So the more you feel like you don't have time for meditation, the more you should meditate. That's like the golden rule for meditation. Everyone looks different, so I don't want to give a time because then everyone's going to try to say, Bhante said this time, you know? Everyone has different schedules. You can figure out for yourself. Yes?
I have learned that the meditation is not like sit here and quiet. I think I have found out myself the aha moment by doing something and recognize aware of the thing. For example, I suffer depression, stress, whatever, and not only by I sit like this to meditate in order to recognize that I am in a state of depression and to find out the the mind, like, because I review my the behavior and the mindset and the thinking, and I find out sometimes people get enlightenment by their suffer. Like when they review, they deep into their depression so much that means they get the enlightenment. I don't know is it true because I'm not full professional, but I based on my.
There's two examples of two women, right? Patachara and Kisagotami, right? Kisagotami. They were in very serious depression, grief. One of them lost her child. Remember the mustard seed story? Yeah.
I don't know much about Bible, whatever the character, but discovery that the enlightenment not all the time by sitting, meditate, but by the time you deep down into some darkness or some depression, and you feel, you see, you observe the process of your thinking and your physical reaction, and then from that moment, the enlightenment comes out.
That's correct, because these two women in the suttas, they did the same thing. They were in depression, they noticed it, and they were free. They weren't meditating. They weren't sitting in meditation. They became aware.
Yeah, but I'm talking about awareness.
They became aware of their domanassa, of their suffering, and then they were free. So yes, when we look at the like Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha says, standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. No matter any position that the body's in, you should practice awareness, mindfulness, sati. So some people think this means I have to go stand and practice standing meditation. Oh, now I need to do walking meditation. Now sitting meditation. Now laying down meditation. That's not what the Buddha is saying. The Buddha is saying is that during the day, your body is in all these different positions. Whatever position that your body's in, you need to be practicing sati, awareness, mindfulness. And then the Buddha says, when a monk stretches out his arm, he needs to be aware he's stretching out his arm. When he's putting on his robe, he's aware. When he's eating, he knows that he's eating. He says, even when he goes to the bathroom, he knows, I'm aware that I'm going to the bathroom. And everything that you do, from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep, you should be practicing awareness, mindfulness. So yes, it's not only about sitting on the cushion, but it's just, for a lot of people, it's easier when you remove distractions, it's easier for them to practice there. But yes, you want to take it out into the regular world and be aware all the time. More questions, please? Well, there's no more questions, and I think we can finish the Dhamma talk. I think Bhante, is out in the hallway? Yeah.
Everyone, please touch it.
Maybe. Okay.
Right. So first of all, thank you so much, Bhante. I hope it would have been a very enlightening, very comprehensive Dhamma talk. And I think even these little kids enjoy. So they also understood somewhat of the Dhamma teaching. I'm so glad for that. So Bhante, first of all, we would like to thank you so much for coming from so Saratchand. He resides in Saratchand Buddhist Vihara, North Hollywood, and he came all the way from we fly from there there yesterday, and so he took all the efforts to come here and give for giving this wonderful Dhamma teaching for the benefit of all. So now we are offering the Pachkar Bhante. Everyone please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all the positive energy that we accumulated by listening to this noble Dhamma talk, we are going to share. First of all, we share it with Bhante. Bhante Sanatha Vihari. So appreciating Dhamma talk, and we wish that may he gain good health, and at the same time so more and more abilities to share the Dhamma with various kinds of audiences all around the world. So Dhamma is the need of the modern world. So in a world where everything is going downside, it is the one which can awaken the people and bring them to the righteousness. So we wish Bhante to have good health and advancement in all those abilities. And at the same time, we wish him a very long life with mental and physical strength and mental and physical comfort. And may he develop in both Lokya wisdom and Lokuttara wisdom. That means mundane and supramundane wisdom. And practicing the Dhamma path and attaining the final fruit, the enlightenment, may be able to share the Dhamma with many more people with compassion. To share the merits, everyone please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And at the same time, so we think of my master too. So Bhante is not in good health during these days. So let's wish my master too good health, and may he be able to recover very soon, and may he be able to continue his Dhamma practice with good health further. To share merits, please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And at the same time, let's share this positive energy with all the divine beings. So divine beings of our temple, and at the same time, divine beings who protect the Buddha's teachings, and divine beings who are in this country and all around the world and in the other universes. May they gain this positive energy. May they prosper in their divine luxuries. In return, may they bless you, help you, and protect you. With those thoughts, to share merits with all the divine beings, please say 3 times together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And at the same time, you can think of your own departed relatives. So all the relatives that pass away in all of our names, in all our generations, may they gain this positive energy. If they are in bad realms, may they be free. If they are in good realms, may they achieve better. And practicing the Dhamma one day, may they also attain Nibbana. With those thoughts, to share merits with the departed relatives, please say 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May this positive energy be with all of you. By the power of this positive energy, may all of you gain a long life with beauty, mental and physical strength, comfort, and wisdom. And at the same time, may your wisdom improve to a level that you can understand the Dhamma. So just like you go from the beach to the deep sea, gradually, part by part, step by step, may you be able to understand the Dhamma to the depth. And finally, understand the real nature of yourself and understanding the pure Dhamma. May you be able to attain the real peace and real happiness, purification of mind, Nibbana. With those thoughts, everyone, please say it 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Everyone, please concentrate. Abhivadana Selese Nicham Vanda Pachaino Jataru Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balam Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevache Atho Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samicchetu. May all of you be well. May all of you be happy. May all of you be very peaceful. And one extra notification. So before you go, you have a small dinner. There is a small dinner arranged. So please enjoy that. And after that, you can leave. Please enjoy that small dinner and leave. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Where was this recorded?
All right, YouTube. Okay.